Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Balanced Fit and Free podcast. This is Ray Ann Mullins, your host. And I'm excited that you're here because I tell you every time, but I'm coming to you today. And this is going to be a little bit more of a conversation. I don't really have a ton of information for you, but I want to tell you that I celebrated yesterday. As the time of this recording, I celebrated my 49th birthday yesterday. And every year on my birthday, I love, love, love more than anything to like sit by myself and reflect on the past years, like the past year specifically, but then also going back. And I like to see like where I've grown, where I've not grown, what I need to do, and like what I want to project, into my future. And so just so you know, I too, I'm talking a lot about inner healing and knowing your true authentic self, a lot of that in the podcast and in my coaching now and in my posts, everything. Well, I'm actually practicing it myself. It's not like one of those things where I tell you to do it and I don't do it. Like I'm really, really honing in on like trying to figure out who I am. And I think over the past year, it's been actually kind of cool to meet myself because, as you know, as humans, we get busy and time can just pass. The days may feel long, but the years are, short or fast. But through that, we tend to kind of forget who we are, what we want, what we like, what we don't like. And we also forget to honor that things change. So, on a birthday, I think a birthday is a perfect time to sit and reflect and, meet yourself more and think about what it is you desire going forward. And so I did that yesterday morning. I got up a little bit early. Well, just because that's my life now, perimenopause is interesting. So I get up early and I actually got to tell you, morning time is my most creative, best time. I have the most energy. I'm like on fire with the ideas. Like it is the craziest thing. But by about 9 a.m., a lot of those ideas and energy is already waning. So anyway, I got up early on my birthday and I came up to my office, which has been a work in progress. As if you ever watch the YouTube version of this, you'll see I have a new background. I'm getting new plants and um, lamps and pillows and blankets, and I've rearranged my whole office and I'm making it fit me. Instead of being practical or instead of being efficient, I'm kind of being crazy, adding all these plants that hopefully I will remember to water because I'm not very good at that. Actually, I'm going to tell you the truth. Also, on my birthday, I went to Home Goods and bought a bunch of fake plants too, because I have these like shelves behind me with these little plants on them. And what I discovered was the air conditioning or the heater is running and they were like dying already. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then I decided to go ahead and put fake plants on my wall, but then the other live plants are in different areas away from the heater. So anyway, I know you were just dying to hear that. But um anyway, I'm working on my office. That's the point. And it's coming together and it feels really good. And it actually makes me want to be in here, which if I'm in my office more, I'm more focused and I get more done. So your environment, I'm getting to a point here, I promise. Your environment directly impacts your creativity, your productiveness, your everything. So if you have an environment, this is a side note as a tip, if you have an environment that makes you feel flustered, cluttered, blocked, it's time to clear that space and work on it so that you can get your flow back. Okay. Anyway, I got up here and I started working on my vision board. And I do a vision board every year. I usually do it. I'm telling y'all kind of truth bombs today. I do a vision board workshop every year. And for a long time, I was only doing my vision board so that I would have an example. And I did it. I love vision boards and I love goal setting. I love it so much. But I caught myself just doing it to get it done instead of really spending the time on it. So I really spent the time yesterday on my vision board, and it's beautiful. And it actually represents everything I desire. And the really cool thing is I do it on Canva, which is that online like tool. And that way it's like I don't have to cut magazines or like have glue or any of that. That's just not my thing. I don't love to be super crafty like that, but I can totally do it on the computer. And so what I do is I just make a copy every year and then alter what I need. Because with a vision board, there's going to be things on there that stay on there. So like I have dumbbells on there. I'm always going to lift weights. Always going to keep that in my vision. Always going to keep it as an important thing for me. I'm always going to cook healthy. But like I got a new car this year and literally the picture, not of the exact car because I changed my mind on which one I wanted, but I had a white SUV on my vision board. Guess what? I could take it off because I got it. I took off other things on there that had happened. And so it was really fun, like filling in those spaces. But I still have a mountain house on there because that's my ultimate goal is to eventually have a mountain house. And, maybe an extra house, that would be extra bonus. But maybe I move there. I don't know. But that's always going to stay on there until it happens. But also, the retreat that I did in November was on my vision board and it happened. But guess what? It's staying on there because those are going to keep happening. So anyway, I did the vision board and I felt so good about it because I feel like I'm truly, truly coming into who I am. And I always had this thought that when I turned 50, I needed to like finally be there, wherever there is. I don't even know where there is. And now that I'm only a year away from 50, I'm like, oh, I think I'm being too hard on myself. Like, who actually has it all together by the time they're 50? Probably nobody. Even the people you think have it all together probably do not have it all together at 50. So it's really funny because when you're 25, 50 sounds ancient, right? But when you're 40 to 49, 50 is like, you're like, I'm still a young pup here. What's going on? So anyway, um, so while I was working on my vision board, I also was like journaling. Just anything that was popping in my head, I would just write it down. It was not beautiful. And so anyway, journaling. I'm journaling down all the things and the lessons I've learned, the things that came to my mind. What's been going on? Like who am I becoming? Why? And what are some of the beliefs that I have now versus like when I was 40? Like or when I was 30 or when I was 20. Like there's a lot of different things. So I'm going to share with you today 10 of the, I want to say lessons or things that I've learned over the years. And the reason I'm sharing them with you is because I think some of them are just, they're good. They're really simple things, but I would be willing to bet that you too have learned some of these lessons. And if you haven't, then maybe me saying it can like prompt you to like think about it a little bit. And it may be true for me and not for you. Or or maybe you'll have a different twist on what these lessons are and what they mean to you versus what they mean to me. So let's just jump into it. My first one is, I have them written down because I couldn't remember, of course. Oh, that's another learning lesson. You definitely lose your memory as you age. Oh my gosh. I ran into people last night at this bar we went to, or brewery we went to, and I couldn't for the life of me remember names. And my husband was like, well, you're getting older. And I'm like, I'm going to punch you in the face right now. So anyway, okay, number one. See, I'm dragging this on. Number one is no one cares as much as you think. Okay, so let me clarify what I mean about this. We spend so much time and energy worrying about what other people think about us. That I have to say is getting less and less as I get older, but there's still like pivotal like people in my life that every time I go to make a decision, every time I want to change something or say something or go do something, certain people pop in my head and I think, what would they think of that? What would they think of that? Well, I think the truth is they don't think about it at all. They have their own life. They have their own issues. They have their own kids. They have their own businesses. They have their own shit, excuse me, but their own shit to think about. No one cares about what we do as much as we think. This could apply to your career choices, to what your house looks like. Have you ever had someone come over to your house and you're like so worried they're going to think it's messy or not decorated pretty or blah, 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 whatever. And then they get there and you know what? They aren't thinking about that. Like, and if they are, I mean, who cares? You know? But your career, what your house looks like, what kind of car you drive, what your body looks like. You know, we spend a lot of energy worrying about what people think our body looks like, worrying what people think our face looks like, worrying what our hair looks like. And you know what? At the end of the day, someone might have an opinion, but they probably don't like sit around thinking all day about you. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Rand's letting her hair grow out gray. Like, oh, like it's gonna ruin their life or something. That is so silly to waste our energy on worrying about what other people think when they don't really probably think about it. So that's number one. I could go on and on about that one, but I'm gonna move on. Number two, we are our own worst enemy, right? Because go back to lesson one, we're the ones judging ourselves. We're the ones thinking our cellulite is too much, or thinking our hair looks bad gray, or thinking that the wrinkles are bad. You know, the one judging ourselves. We're the one criticizing ourselves. We're the one looking for all of the negative in ourselves. So we need to flip that. If we can be our own worst enemy, can't we also be our best, biggest fan? Yes, I think so. Okay. Number three, if you wanted to, you would. There's a lot of things that we shame ourselves about. I didn't exercise. I didn't have a protein with my breakfast. I didn't finish my to-do list. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. Well, you know what? If you wanted to do it, you would have done it. Facts, right? And there are a lot of things that we say we want to do. There are a lot of things that we think would be cool to do. There's a lot of things, but hey, we're humans. We don't have a million hours to just do everything we want. And honestly, if something's important to you and you really want to do it, you're going to find a way to do it. So if you wanted to, you would. That has been a huge, huge thing in my life the last, especially 6 months. A lot of things on my to-do list, a lot of things on my vision board, a lot of things that I think I should want to do that have been sitting there for years. And I'm like, well, clearly I don't want to do this. So bye-bye. Bye-bye to the programs I've written. You guys, I've written and created so many awesome programs. There, like, I think they're really good. I mean, obviously, I think they're really good. I wouldn't have written them. But do you know what? They're sitting on my computer. I've never told anyone about them. And if I wanted to, I would. I just don't have the energy or the desire. And you know what? Maybe they're just not for me to do. Maybe I need to give them to someone else to do it. But if I wanted to, I would. Okay. Number four, if they wanted to, they would. Okay. If they wanted to, they would. So maybe you have expectations for people. Like maybe you wish your kid would call you more. Well, if they wanted to, they would. It's actually a testament to being a great parent if your kid never needs you, I think. I mean, it could be the other way too. Maybe you really suck as a parent and they don't want you. But I think most of the time it's that you've taught them what they need. If they wanted to call you every single day, they would. If you know, if your husband wanted to buy you flowers, he would. That was a bad example, but I made a rule, by the way, a long time ago. I was like, Brian, don't buy me flowers. Like, it's so sweet. Don't buy me flowers. Like, give me something else. But now I regret that because it kind of would be nice to get flowers once in a while. But when I was like 25 and super practical and didn't want something that died and waste money on it, you know, I meant it then, but I don't mean it now. Maybe Maybe he'll hear this. Anyway, okay. If they wanted to, they would. Just like if you wanted to, you would. Okay. Whatever the thing is, you can apply that to anything, whatever it is. Okay. Number five, everything takes longer than we think it should. Like everything. Have you ever noticed that? You're like, oh, 20 minutes. No, it's an hour. It's going to take me a week to get out a new project. No, guarantee it's 4 weeks. Everything takes longer than we think. And instead of thinking we're perfect, super efficient, like fast humans, maybe if we just settled down and realized that everything takes longer than we expect, maybe we wouldn't have so much anxiety. Maybe we wouldn't be so pushy with ourselves, right? Everything takes longer than we think it should. And I've really settled into that, really settled into that knowing. And it's really helped me. It's really helped me have less crazy expectations for myself, right? We set so many unrealistic expectations that it just gives us more angst than it does productivity. Okay. Let me see. Number six. This is a silly one, but really has been hitting me lately. Our parents actually had some good thoughts and ideas. Sounds so funny. But as a mother of aging kids, kids that are like, thinking they're adults, and they are somewhat adults, I feel like I feel a little bad about how I thought about my parents. And so when you slow down and take a moment and think about the age of your parents when you were a teenager or a young adult, well, for me, that's about now. Like, I have a life. I have good thoughts. I have good feelings. I have good advice, at least I think for my kids. But when I think back about to my mom and my dad, they kind of drove me crazy because I felt like, what do they know? What do they know? Turns out they actually knew a lot more than we gave them credit for. And I think that almost makes me feel closer to them. Mine have both passed, but in a way, I'm like, oh, I see you. I see you, young adult parent. I'm sorry. Like, but it's kind of cool too. Like, there's something about that lesson hitting me that just I really like. So maybe you too can think back to when you were like a young adult or teenager and how we used to think our parents didn't know what they were talking about. But really, they did. And maybe you had a different situation. Maybe you respected your parents a lot and you listened to everything they said and took their advice. And I wouldn't say I didn't respect my parents. I definitely did. But like, I just always felt like, oh, they don't understand me. They don't know. They don't know what I'm going through. Yeah, they actually did. They probably did. Okay. Number seven, you can't want it more than they do. Okay. So apply that to whatever. Like, in my case, with like health or wellness coaching clients, I can't tell you how excited I get when I get a new client and I have this whole vision of their life, how it's going to change. And it doesn't always, that the reality is you can hand somebody what you think is a great plan, a great action steps and help them. But until they do it, they're not going to see results, right? If they wanted to, they would. That's one of those lessons I've learned. Not, I mean, really from clients mostly. If people really wanted to, they would, right? But it's the same with I can't want their results more than they want the results. In fact, it has nothing to do with what I want, right? And that's been a huge, huge lesson as a coach, but also as a parent because and spouse even like you can't want the people in your life to succeed more than they want to succeed. Like there's nothing you can do. You can, I mean, I have tried everything. I have, especially with our kids. It's like when I want so badly for them to do well, right? So badly, like more than me. And but you can't make them want it more than you want it. Or you can't want it more than they want it. You get what I'm saying, right? That's a huge, huge lesson. And I think, again, this all comes back to when you finally realize this and see this, think of the energy you can save by stopping trying to convince others that they want to win or succeed because they have to see it themselves or nothing will change. The moment they see it themselves, man, the sky's the limit. But you cannot want it for them. And that's really tough lesson for me because even though I'm saying it's a lesson I've learned, I still have to work really hard on that because I just love to see people do well. And it's very hard and disappointing. And it's very hard for me, disappointing not in the people, but I get disappointed in myself for having so much I don't know, like hope or uh I don't know. Like I just feel like I want it so bad for them. So when they don't do it, I feel disappointed, not in them. I feel disappointed in myself because I feel like it's my fault that I didn't help them want it more. And it finally hit me. I've known this. Like I've even said this, like you can't want it more than them. Like you can say something, but until you know it deep in your bones, it just it hits different, you know? So anyway, you can't want it more than they do. Number 8, you cannot change other people. You can only change yourself. That's another huge lesson. And that's very similar to you can't want it more than they do, but different. Like you might want somebody to change so badly because you know you can see as somebody on the outside, we can see people's like hurt. We can see people's problems, right? And you know, you want to give them help. You want to help them change so that they feel better or they just are better because you want them to be happy or whatever. But you can't. You cannot change other people. They have their own root stories. They have their own limiting beliefs. They have their own patterns and behaviors and addictions and all the things. And we absolutely cannot change them until they want to change, which is why it's very similar to the one before. If they want it, then they can change, right? But we cannot change them. We can be there to support them, to hold their hand, to be a shoulder to cry on, to offer advice if asked, but we can't change them. But we can change ourselves. We can change our expectations for other people. We can change the way we respond to them when they're not changing. We can, if it's bothering us that bad, we can change the relationship by leaving. We can change, all kinds of things. We can change ourselves and our responses and our expectations and beliefs, but we cannot do it for somebody else. Big lesson. Number 9 is perfection is overrated. We know this. You know this. I know this. We all know this. We all know perfect isn't a thing. It's like, we're like, we know it's not real. We know, but gosh darn it, we try to be perfect, right? It's so boring though. Isn't perfection boring? I just want to ask you this. Like, have you ever watched like the bloopers on videos? Like, remember back in the day, like when TV shows would do like behind the scenes bloopers? We love it. It's hilarious. It makes the actors funnier. It makes the show more endearing. With everything about the bloopers is like amazing. So why do we think everything has to be perfect when we love the bloopers? You know? So think about your own life. Think about the things that make you unique and quirky or funny or whatever. If you were perfect, I don't know that like you'd be as great, right? It's like, what was that movie or show, The Stepford Wives, or what's that called? Something like that, how they're all like perfect, the women are all perfect, beep, beep, beep. Like that sucks. Like that's not cool. We don't all want to be a bunch of cookie cutters, right? And that's what perfection would be. It would be like everybody looks a certain way, everybody talks a certain way, everybody thinks a certain way. Not cool, boring, not fun. Perfection is overrated. Number 10, final countdown here. Number 10. Hmm. I don't think I wrote that down very well, but I'm going to try to explain it. I talk about balanced, fit, and free, right? A balanced life, a balanced mindset, just balanced physically, emotionally, spiritually. Fit, same thing. Fit body, mind, spirit, soul, and freedom. Freedom is like free from unrealistic expectations, free from feeling like you have to be perfect, free from the all or nothing thinking, free from the dieting mentality, free from blah, 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 all the things, just free. So, number 10 is freedom to me is full self acceptance. I think that when you become your true, authentic self, like you, when you can shed all of the expectations that you've put on yourself or other people or society, when you can truly get rid of what doesn't belong and hone in and just be your true, honest self and accept that true, honest self, that's freedom. Like full acceptance of you and just releasing all the pressure, releasing everything that you remember number two is we are our own worst enemy. Or number one, letting go of what other people think, letting go of comparing yourself to everyone else, letting go of perfectionism, letting go and honoring and being true self is freedom. It's freedom. I think that I made it number 10, but it's probably number one. It's just one of the 10. I came up with other things, but that one is like so true. I think it's so true. But it's not a destination though. Because just when you think you've fully accepted yourself and you've met yourself and you're there, life changes. We get a year older. We get new wrinkles. We get new challenges, right? We get new things appearing in our life. So every time something new comes in, we have this little ripple effect of like change. Okay. And it can be growth, but with every stepping stone, with every change in your life, you're going to have to roll with that and find acceptance in it because every year something is going to change maybe every day, maybe every week. And you don't just say, oh, I'm going to accept myself and I'm free. I mean, you could do that, but it's a journey. It's just going to keep going. It's going to keep going. You hear, and I've said this before, new level, new devil. There's always going to be a new devil. There's always going to be a new challenge to overcome and to learn about yourself and to accept yourself. Okay. So that was my birthday reflections, my top 10 life lessons that I've learned. I hope that this gave you something to think about. And here's the deal. I would love to hear from you. Rayanne at Rayanne Mullins. Okay, that's my email. What is it? Rayanne at RayanneMullins.com. Send me an email. I would love to hear from you. Like, I love it. Seriously. Like, maybe you don't have time, and that's okay. I don't want to pressure you, but I would love to hear from you. What is like your favorite from this list? Or what is one lesson that you've learned that wasn't on my list? Or maybe a tweak of what one of my lessons is and how you apply it to your life or how you've learned it. Because we all have these life lessons. And the more we can share with each other, the more it becomes like accepting to see all these things and we can connect and we can, if we're nicer and kinder to ourselves and then to each other, just imagine how our world could change, right? And I know that's lofty, that I'm hoping my podcast with my 10 life lessons can change a world, you know, but it's not that. It's just like hopefully me sharing this with you gives you new perspective so that you can then share with your friends or back with me a lesson you've learned. And then we just grow. We just grow together. Okay. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to sign off now. I'm hoping you're enjoying this season. We have lots of inner healing, inner child, lots of, We'll be talking about core wounds. We're going to be talking about a lot of really helpful things. And if you're open-minded and just listen and see how you could apply it to your life, I really believe that we can make some really positive change and transformation in our life. So if you have not seen, I have the Balanced Fit and Free Society is open for enrollment. It is strength training workouts to work on our physical body. But remember, when you're working on your physical body, it also helps your confidence. It helps your inner health, your inner wellness. Included with the Balanced Fit and Free Society is some breath work sessions, some yoga inspired workouts too, a couple times a month, a monthly check-in. So you can meet me on Zoom, ask about, form for your workouts, you know, get help with anything you need help with your, health in general. I will be doing a quarterly workshop on a topic that matters for anybody that is wanting to be balanced, fit, and free. So you can go to the show notes and check that out. Until then, I hope that you are well, and I will catch you next week. Thanks for being here. Bye bye.